I've got one announcement. I brought this up in a couple other places. Some of you might have seen it on my Facebook page. I'm looking for somebody who's looking to become an Eagle Scout, because I think we might have identified a very good project for them with the Man-Ross Library. Man-Ross Library needs a new outdoor shed, and if we had somebody that's got the aptitude and the interest to do that as an Eagle Scout project, I think it could be a great fit, and it'll save the city a little bit of money, and it'll be helping the library out. So if anybody knows anybody that's interested, please have them get in touch with me. Perhaps you could get in touch with Debbie at the library. My number, and I'll say it out loud, but you can also find it on the website too, of course, the city website. That is 860-965-8861. And that's it for announcements for me.
Thank you.
I just have one. I've spoken in the past about paying your water bill online. Tax bills can also be paid online, and I want to tell you that I paid my taxes online today, and if I can do it, anybody that has access to the internet can do it. It was successful, and it didn't even take my whole lunch hour. So I just wanted to point that out. I know no one's thrilled about paying their taxes, and I don't mean to, act like it's the most exciting thing I did today, but it pretty much was. And I do want to do a shout out to our tax office and our assessor's office, because they're really, the unsung heroes of public service. The rest of us, we sit up here and pretend we're important, but they're the ones that are actually bringing in the money that lets us provide all the services to the community. So in tax month, I just wanted to use that as my announcement. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I might try paying my taxes online, but I wouldn't dare do it with this computer. These things go bad. I'm going to never touch it. Rockwell Park Summer Festival is coming up on August 16th. It's sponsored by the West End Association, food, music, and whatnot. Same as last year. It was a great turnout last year. We had quite a few thousand people there. So put that on your calendars. And that's it.
That's it.
Council?
I just have one. I wanted to share with the council the success to date of the Bristol Eastern High School Lights fundraising initiative, which was a private initiative started by parents and members of the athletic teams at Eastern to install lights on the football field. Through a matching challenge grant from one of the alumni, they now have a very successful social media crowdsourcing fundraising initiative. And today it hit $3,000, which was a lot of money in a short period of time, which really means that it's $6,000 toward their final piece of costs. And today, if you drove by Eastern, you might have seen utility trucks, because they're starting to put in the wiring that's going to be needed to go to the school. So I thought it was important, since this body did make a donation to that project as well as the central project, and I think that it's a real credit to the parents and to the athletic supporters and everyone who's working on their own time to make something happen. And I think it's also something from a social media standpoint that's going to be great from a fundraising standpoint, and it's actually an element of the Memorial Boulevard plan that we're going to be looking at as well, in terms of reaching all of those people who may have a special place in their heart for the building but may not live here anymore. So I was very excited to see their success, and I just wanted to let you know that the lights are imminent at Bristol Eastern.
Thank you.
I just have one. We just had the 100-year celebration for Muzzy Field this past Saturday. It's great weather. I have to commend Ed Swicklis, our park department superintendent, as well as his whole department, park board, all the volunteers. It was a fun-filled day. I had a great time down there. The concert was awesome. Fireworks were great. So just congratulations to the park board and all their work, and I know Ed probably happy to have that done with. So great job, Ed. That's all I have. Number 5, committee reports. Starting my far left.
I've got 2 committee reports. Starting with Parks Department. The renovation work at Muzzy Field is moving along. All the exterior sidewalks are finished and accessible. The interior concourse inside Muzzy Field is completed, along with 2 secondary entry and exit gates. All the light post bases have been installed, and material is starting to be applied for the final grade. The summer youth programs and outdoor swimming pools have opened, Attendance is very good. The summer concert continues every Tuesday in Rockwell Park. The starting time is 7 p.m. So we all have to miss it tonight if you're in this room or watching at home. This Saturday, a fife and drum corps event will take place in Rockwell Park at 6 p.m. and 2 groups from Switzerland will perform, so that'll be fun. And as the mayor just said, the 100th celebration of Muzzy Field went well. The new stylistics, Steve Agori, formerly of Turney, and the Bristol Brass and Wind Ensemble were excellent. And it was a fun time, and that's the sort of thing that anybody from Bristol can be proud of. That's a kind of a celebration, a kind of a historic sort of anniversary for a great landmark for the city, and I was happy to be there. And then something from the library. The Bristol Library is excited to be able to offer 2 new services through the website and their Facebook page. Zinio, where patrons can read the full digital copy of magazines on a computer, tablet, or other mobile device. A Bristol Library card and the free Zinio Reader app are all that is required. The library has subscriptions to over 20 popular and specialty magazines, including high-demand titles like Kiplinger's, ESPN, Weight Watchers, and Martha Stewart Living. Best of all, there are no due dates or overdues, so you will never have to wait for a magazine to be returned by another reader. Also, one-click digital classics collection, which includes ebooks and e-audio for free with your Bristol Library card for your iPad, iPhone, Android, and Kindle Fire. Titles are available 24/7 with no waiting list. And that's it for me.
Calvin, is that in place of the Overdrive Media Council, or is that in addition to like another? Because we already can.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Debbie, are you still here? Is that in place of the Overdrive that was already there, these 2 new programs?
It's in addition to.
In addition
Excellent.
to. Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
And I have no committee report system.
We have a couple of motions to bring forward. Real Estate Committee hereby move to grant Renaissance Downtown at Bristol LLC permission to use a portion of Depot Square and Riverside Avenue between Main and North Main Streets for a food festival on September 13th, 2014, provided that all insurance requirements are provided to the city. I further move this matter be referred to the Department of Public Works to determine the appropriate location of the festival on Depot Square. Further move this matter be referred to the Police Department for road closure. Further move this matter be referred to Corporation's Counsel's Office for insurance compliance. Further move the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes.
Ordinance Committee, 2 more. I hereby move the sections 23-1B, 23-2 of the ordinance enforcement by citation officers Code of the City of Bristol, Connecticut is hereby amended to read as follows. I further move that the city clerk publish said amendments, additions to the Code of Ordinances, and that they become effective upon the expiration of 14 days from the date of their publication in newspaper of general circulation in the City of Bristol. Additions, underlined, and questioned. Additions, underlined, and questioned. Deletions are bracketed. Sorry, I couldn't read what you read. Okay. Now I ask for something.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion passes.
One more. Adoption ordinances, Chapter 5, Section 5-58 of the Property Maintenance Code. I hereby move that Section 5-58 of the Property Maintenance Code of the City of Bristol, Connecticut is hereby amended to read as follows. I further move that the city clerk publish said amendments and additions to the Code of Ordinances and that they become effective upon the expiration of 14 days from the date of their publication in a newspaper of general circulation in the City of Bristol. Additions, underlined, deletions, bracketed. Ask for a second.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion passes.
I have one committee report from the Early Childhood Development, and recently we were privileged with the Commissioner of the Office of Early Childhood Development, Dr. Myra Taylor-Jones, visited Bristol on July 1st. She met with members of the Bristol School Readiness Council and the Bristol Early Childhood Alliance for a meet and greet. Then visited the current community school readiness classrooms located at the Imagination Preschool Learning Center and Bristol Preschool Child Care Center. She also visited the anticipated future new sites for quality preschool classrooms in Bristol. In this coming fiscal year, Bristol was granted an additional 73 school readiness expansion slots, bringing our total to 402 preschool slots, which are accredited and subsidized. She shared how pleased she was with the Bristol School Readiness Program and how all early childhood education and childhood services work so well together. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman?
Yeah, I just have a couple. The fire board is on schedule to build near ESPN. They're on budget and things are going quite well. And secondly, in the Bristol seniors, they're having a 50s concert night with Squeaky Clean. That's 50s music, and it's from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And bring your own lawn chairs. Also, Friday, August 15th, they're having a hot dog cookout at 4 p.m. in the cafeteria and courtyard, and that'll include hot dogs, beans, salads, desserts, and drinks for $4 per person, but you have to sign up by August 12th. And that's basically it.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
I have two brief reports. The first one is from the Memorial Boulevard School Task Force, which actually met last night. They are making great progress with the 4 subcommittees that are in place, and I did ask them for copies. What I'm going to give to you for perusal at your convenience is a metrics that was created by the theater subgroup, which tells you how they're proceeding with their work. And the second one is a ranking of the reuse preferences that we've been dealing with since the inception, based on all of the activities that have flowed to the task force from all the variety of different panels previous to us, other ideas, planning group open meetings that the Planning Commission held. And so at our previous meeting, we had an exercise in order to start narrowing the window on what we thought those priorities were. So what you're going to see when I pass these forward is something that Commissioner Albert has labeled the use case, which is the potential use. And when you see stickers, that means how many people actually liked that use for that building. And then we have it ranked according to tier, based on how many stickers they have, and then any comments that were made. So I think that will be interesting for all of you to look at your leisure in terms of keeping track of what we are doing as a committee. We are still hopefully on track to bring a report back to this body by mid-fall to late fall, so that we can then do whatever needs to be done to digest it, review that report, and hopefully make budget recommendations for the eventual reuse purposing. In terms of code enforcement, we've also been very busy. As all of you know, it is the busy season. I neglected to print the latest report, but I was able to pull it out of my email. And just in the last month, since our last council meeting, in the building department alone, there have been close to 100 new cases that have been opened. They rank from property maintenance violations to things like a vacant property that's been reported, filling in of in-ground pools at abandoned properties, overgrown vegetation, accumulated debris, graffiti, and accumulated debris and trash, illegal parking, which was a zoning issue handled from that office, deteriorated sheds, and then building construction violations. So it again is continuing to run the gamut, and again these addresses are all across the city, not centered in any one area. In the last month, there's been 55 foreclosures that we've added to our watch list. Many of these pose the largest problems for code enforcement because they tend to be vacant in a lot of cases. We are having significant issues with the bank-owned properties and how they are maintaining the property. Some banks are very open to communication, others are not. And we've actually spent some time at our last meeting that the mayor attended, talking about some of those strategies in terms of what our recourse is as a committee. Of those 55 foreclosures, the winner this month was District 2 with 21, followed by District 3, and there are actually a significant amount in District 1 this month, which was 14. So we're, again, compiling that data, looking at it as how it's forecast against the other things that we're doing. The part-time seasonal employee is in place. I know a move is afoot to do the other staffing piece, so the staffing issues have concluded. And I know that we've had a major issue with a long-standing building today, and I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the condemnation, which I think is going to be a very significant improvement for the Stern Street neighborhood.
Yeah, that was a 12-resident property, one of our biggest offenders in the town. And I'll say it's a slumlord. He has multiple properties with many code violations amongst each of them. And we're not going to stand for it. And we condemned the 12th person. We have to, unfortunately, relocate these tenants. The sad thing is the owner of the building knew this was coming and spent the weekend collecting rent from these tenants, knowing that on Monday morning he was going to be condemned, that they were going to be evicted. So he spent Friday and Saturday going along collecting rent from these tenants, knowing that this building was going to be condemned. That is scum, and I'll say it. It's scum. Someone to do that so low, someone down on their luck, many of these tenants. So we are going to take every action we can to go after these slumlords that we have. So, anything else to add to that? Thank you. That's all I have. Unfinished business, starting my far right.
No.
None.
None.
New business, starting my far left.
I do have one thing, Your Honor, and I've got copies for everybody. Pass them down. As many of you in the audience already know, and many people at home, I'm sure, know this too, a few months ago, the Board of Ed voted to privatize or outsource the cafeteria services. Now, that's certainly something that is within their right to do as their own city boards. But what maybe some people don't know is that the Connecticut Labor Board has ruled that the Board of Education bargained in bad faith, that they said they would honor the tentative agreement with the union representing the cafeteria workers, Local 2267, and then backtracked on that in a way that wasn't exactly legal according to the Labor Board's standards. So now the Board of Ed is contemplating challenging the Labor Board's ruling, which will involve keeping it in the courts and further legal expenses that the taxpayers have to foot the bill for. So I have a resolution that I'll read out loud tonight that I would like the City Council to vote on, simply asking the Board of Ed not to pursue this any further, to honor the Labor Board's ruling, and to work with the cafeteria workers under the previously agreed upon tentative agreement. So I'll read that into the record now. Be it hereby resolved that this council acknowledges the June 17th ruling of the Connecticut Labor Board that the Board of Education bargained in bad faith, and that we recognize and support the right of the cafeteria workers of Local 2267 to work under the already agreed upon tentative agreement. Be it further resolved that this council and its members publicly call upon the Board of Education to refrain from the expenditure of any more taxpayer time, money, or resources fighting the ruling by the Labor Board, and instead call upon them to honor the Labor Board's ruling.
Second.
Resolution made and seconded. Discussion.
Just would like to add that, again, most of you probably know this, during the campaign, the 2013 campaign, 4 of the 6 councilors that were elected, that are up here now, spoke against the idea of privatizing the cafeteria services. Both mayoral candidates talked about how they weren't in favor of privatizing the cafeteria services. The Board of Ed made a decision, but by most accounts so far, that decision was unjust or illegal. And while they continue to fight this battle, 53 women are in the balance. Their lives are being toyed with. Their livelihood is being toyed with. Many of these 53 women are Bristol residents, and that's what makes it more than just a Board of Ed issue. This is a quality of life issue. This is a proper use of public taxpayer dollars issue. People have asked, why can't you guys do something? Referencing the city council. The truth is, I suppose, we don't have much that we can do in terms of real teeth to get the Board of Ed to act a certain way, and that's a good thing. But what we can do is use our position as one city body to take a stand on this issue. To say we respectfully ask you, our partners on the Board of Ed, to not take this legal battle any further. That's the point of this resolution, and that's why I hope all of my colleagues up here tonight will join me in support of it. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I just want to say I thank the Board of Education for voting unanimously to look into the costs involved in the cafeteria, because they did vote unanimously. Apparently they weren't unanimous when they found out that even though there was a savings, it would put some people out of work. The savings of over $300,000 I think is rather significant, and I think they did their duty in looking in and looking out for the taxpayers of the city. That being said, I had no dog in this fight really, as far as whether or not they were the position was changed or a new group was brought in. I believe this is a Board of Education issue. They are elected representatives, and I think it would be a little bit overstepping our bounds to chastise them in this way. I don't believe this is the proper way to do it. I think there's a separation of powers type issue.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Your Honor, I'd like to address 2 things that Councilor Carlson just brought up. The first is that yes, the Board of Ed did unanimously vote to look into the cost-benefit analysis, sort of, so to speak, about what could happen if they chose to privatize. But they also voted to honor the tentative agreement, and then, unfortunately, that got reneged upon at the last minute, and the Labor Board has already ruled that that's the case, that the Board of Ed bargained in bad faith. That's one point. The second point I wanted to address is that, yes, there is basically a separation of powers between the City Council and the Board of Education, just like there is a separation of powers between the United States Congress and the United States Executive Branch. But the Senate, the House of Representatives, pass resolutions all the time calling on the President to act a certain way. That's always been the case. It is common for legislative bodies to pass resolutions stating an opinion about an issue that is technically in the ball field, so to speak, of another board or body. And that's all I'm asking this council to do, is to say, we understand you have a decision to make, Board of Ed. This City Council asks you not to further appeal this process. That's all it is. It's not overstepping any boundaries. It's not usurping power. Not at all.
To that extent, President and the Congress, if and when they get around to passing a joint budget, a single budget, they all work on all items of that budget. We on the City Council don't pick over the school board's budget. So I think there is a slight separation there. And, again, I'm not looking at the numbers. I have not looked at the numbers that they've had, the proposals that came forward, and I would be reluctant to, question their authority in that respect, because they did look hard at those numbers.
Any other discussion? Councilwoman?
I have a question through the chair. I might have missed it, but do you know the amount that they've spent to date on this issue?
From what I understand, the approximate figure of legal expenses occurred to date is between $135,000 and $140,000. And pursuing this any further is only going to rack that bill up much, much higher. And then that $300,000 proposed savings is out the window. We're very near that now.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes.
I don't believe that we should be passing any resolution on this. This is really a Board of Ed matter and not ours. Each side of the cafeteria issue is moving forward, and they have with their due process. The cafeteria workers took it to Labor Board. The Board of Ed won in arbitration. So I say let's just move to let them settle this. This is not our fight. So I move that the motion be postponed indefinitely.
A point of order. Point of order.
Motion made and seconded.
No, point of order.
Point of order. Go ahead.
I don't believe that is proper at all. There's a resolution that's been seconded. There has to be a vote, and I would defer to the city clerk to...
Let me ask the Court Counsel.
I would defer to the city clerk to talk about whether or not that's the right process. It seems very hard to believe that one could bring up a resolution for a vote, and then instead of anybody voting, we just say, I move not to vote.
And now the motion.
We'll move to Court Counsel because they're a legal entity. If you want to...
Mayor, I'd like to have the opportunity to do a little bit of research on it. I have a quick reaction, but I'm not sure that it's totally correct, and I don't have Robert's rules with us. If you want to postpone the issue until a little later in the meeting, I'd be happy to get you an answer.
Would that be okay with you?
Absolutely not. No. This is
We'll take a 15-minute recess. Will that give you enough time, Court Counsel?
Sure.
We'll take a 15-minute recess, and we'll be back. Do we need a motion on that? Do you have a motion for that, please?
Motion to take a 15-minute recess.
Second. Motion made, second. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Motion passes.